Okay, so as we saw in the earlier slide, what was the impact of non-cooperation movement in the countryside? Countryside means basically a side where farmers and their problems are there. And see, Britishers were mainly involved in towns and cities. Okay, so their atrocities were more or less felt severely by the people living in towns and cities. But these countryside people who used to live in remote villages and all, they were controlled by talukdars and zamindars and merchants. Okay, and more or less these people were also the agents of Britishers. So what happened in the countryside was they perceived the Baba Ramchandra or and the various peasants, they perceived the non-cooperation movement as a liberation for them from these landlords or from these merchants or from these people who are causing misery in their lives. Okay, so that's how they took the movement. And instead of, so it started, see, non-cooperation means cooperation, or rather stopping cooperation towards anybody who is doing injustice. Okay, who is doing injustice to our lives. So the notion was correctly perceived that we have to stand up for our rights and protest against the injustice that has been done with us for centuries. But instead of directing it towards the Britishers, they directed it towards the talukdars and the merchants and the so-called well-to-do people in the villages. So there was a rift amongst the villagers themselves. So instead of hitting on the agenda against the Britishers, they actually diverted the direction towards the talukdars and the zamindars. Okay, so that was what has happened, and that led to formation of these Awadh Gram Sabhas. Okay, where there were almost 300 Gram Sabhas like this that were formed, and this was basically for the liberation of peasants. And then it took a violent turn when the peasants started attacking the houses of talukdars, or the merchants, or where these bazaars were set up, or where the stocks of all the grains were piled up. So all these were basically attacked. Okay, so that's how it went. So the entire thing of non-cooperation was not 100% successful in the countryside. Now we'll talk about plantation workers. Now what are these plantation workers? Assam is prominently known for its tea production today and at that point of time as well. So tea production requires a certain form of land and hilly areas, and where the water doesn't stay, the water kind of flows off, and that kind of climate. So Assam has a very favorable climate for tea. Okay, so plantation workers in Assam, so these were basically workers in Assam, but they didn't hail from Assam, they hailed from various parts of India. So what has happened is that the Britishers have brought them and employed them there. Okay, so they were working there, and they were more or less as slaves. Okay, working there. So they worked for the Britishers, but they had no freedom of their own. They have to only move around in the boundary that has been fixed as the plantation site. Okay, so plantation workers in Assam, for them freedom meant to move freely in and out of the confined space in which they were enclosed. They were more or less enclosed in a confined space of their plantation. Okay, and this was a cause of misery. I suppose it's a little invisible here. Okay, so that was a cause of misery. Okay, they were enclosed in that space, and they always felt that. Okay, so it's like they were enclosed in a cage. They were not free to move to their native villages. They were not free to celebrate occasions with their family. So they were more or less working as slaves for a very long time. Okay, so when this non-cooperation movement started, so for them it meant, okay, leave our jobs and let's move on. Now the Gandhi Raj is going to come. So that's how they perceived non-cooperation movement. So let's leave our jobs, let's quit our jobs and go back to our native places and enjoy the free life that we had at that point of time. So for them, Swaraj meant retaining a link to the village from where they had come. So they will go back there. They believed Gandhi Raj was coming. So that notion piled up that now things are going to get improved. We will be free to move anytime, anywhere. Okay, and Gandhi Raj is going to come, and everyone will be given land in their own villages. We will have a pretty much comfortable life and not confined in that space, or that enclosure of plantation site. Okay, so now they started, what they started doing was, So what was the reason why they were confined to this space? So let's go to a little background of it. There was a law that was passed in 1859. Okay, this is the under the Inland Immigration Act. Inland Immigration Act of 1859. Plantation workers were not permitted to leave their tea garden without permission. Okay, so this was a contract that was there. You will not be able to leave the plantation site or the tea garden without permission. Okay, so that was there. And now since the non-cooperation movement started, wherein Gandhiji had asked people to boycott their jobs, to liberate themselves and participate with non-cooperation against the Britishers. So what they said was that the time has now come, let's move on, let's move back to our villages, and now we will be given lands and we will be having our own lands to cultivate crops and live our own lives freely. So they perceived it right, but their actions were a little, their actions went a little haywire. Okay, so then what happened is that when they heard of the non-cooperation movement, thousands of workers defied their authorities, left the plantations and headed home. They started heading home without any directional thing. They started heading home. Now what happened is, at that point of time there was kind of unrest in all parts of India. Strikes were going on. Railway workers had gone on a strike, and a lot of other workers had also gone on a strike. So when these plantation workers were moving on, so they were kind of caught in a tussle. There was an unrest already, and the police actually happened to catch hold of them and beat them up brutally. Okay, so they were punished very harshly, and that's because there was no leader, there was no organized approach towards this struggle. So again, I would say that in countryside, people had actually failed to understand the exact objective of non-cooperation movement, and so did the plantation workers. Okay, so they perceived the entire plantation, the entire non-cooperation movement in a different way, because of which all this happened. Okay, so by and large, the reason why non-cooperation was not 100% successful was, in different parts of India it was perceived differently, and people kind of roused in actions and differently. Okay, so now we have covered two aspects of non-cooperation movement in countryside, wherein with the assistance of Ramchandra and Jawaharlal Nehru participating in it, various Gram Sabhas were set up and the farmers started agitating against the talukdars instead of the Britishers. And here we have plantation workers who started leaving their plantation sites and heading home. Thousands of workers defied the authorities and started heading home. Both these were crushed almost. Okay, so now we will try and understand the impact of non-cooperation movement in towns and cities, because that's very important. That's the place where the Britishers will have the maximum of their atrocities. Okay, so we will see what impacts we had there in the next slide. You can take a snapshot of the same. Alright, so we have actually covered what were the impacts. I'm so sorry, let me adjust the camera a little. Okay, what were the impacts of non-cooperation movement in countryside, wherein the people started, or rather the peasants started revolting against the landlords and zamindars and merchants. Okay, so because they felt that their reason for their misery is not the British Empire but the landlords. Okay, so they led into they rose up for the injustice that has been done on them, but they rose up against their own countrymen. Okay, again what happened in Assam plantation, the plantation workers quit their jobs, but they thought that Gandhi Raj is going to come, and hence they will be back on track again, their life will be back on track again. Again they were able to align themselves with the agenda of the non-cooperation movement. Okay, now what happened in towns and cities? Okay, now understand this. It is easier to explain people who are a little in residing in towns and cities the importance of non-cooperation movement than reaching out to people who belong to far remote off areas. Okay, so we generally had a perception that non-cooperation movement will be successful in towns and cities, but people, yes, they grasped the idea, they grasped the need, they understood the importance of non-cooperation, and they also understood the fact that it is very important to carry out this agitation against the Britishers so that they will leave India. Now every plan, every action that is basically done has to have a foolproof plan for it. Okay. Now there was a vacuum that was created. You cut off the supply once, but where is this that the gap will be filled from? That was missing, because of which non-cooperation movement, although it started off with great vigor and vitality, but in due course of time it kind of started dying out. Okay. What happened and what were the reasons? That's something that we are going to understand. So middle class played an important role. Why? Because middle class were very close to the Britishers, and they can see what what is the torturous mode that they have adopted, what are the atrocities. So they can very well correlate and connect to the atrocities that were being committed by the Britishers. Okay. So thousands of students left the government controlled schools. So the schools in which these students were enrolled, the students started leaving, as it was non-cooperation in all spheres. So they started leaving these schools and colleges. Headmasters, teachers also resigned in huge numbers. Lawyers who were working in different types of courts gave up their jobs. Okay. So yes, in full-fledgedly all these people started supporting the non-cooperation movement. Okay. Then what happened? The council elections. See, there was, when we go back, when non-cooperation movement was started, Gandhi had actually requested everyone to quit their links with government or the Britishers. So non-cooperation in all spheres. Now there is a council of ministers. Basically the council was created to have Indian representation. Okay. Although they were not heard, but still that was created with that purpose. Okay. So the council elections were boycotted. When non-cooperation movement started, some of the members of Congress protested against it, or some of the members of Congress were basically against it, because they thought that their representation in council is necessary. Otherwise the problems will not be highlighted and Britishers are not going to take adequate steps. But Gandhi said any which ways they are not going to take adequate steps. You have to boycott them and make sure that they move out of our country. Okay. So the council elections were boycotted in most provinces except Madras. So Madras, which is basically Chennai as of now, and there was this party called Justice Party, and they didn't boycott this council elections. They participated in the council elections. The concept was that they wanted representation in the council elections so that their problems could be addressed, and they can have an amicable solution from the Britishers. Okay. Okay. Now foreign goods were boycotted in huge numbers. So all these foreign clothes, all these foreign articles which had basically reached Indian shores were boycotted in huge numbers. There were huge demonstrations held. So in all these circles and all these roadside shows were conducted, wherein huge number of so there was a few there was this fire that was lit up, and everybody used to come and kind of throw their foreign goods into them. Okay. So foreign goods were boycotted. This was massive. Liquor shops were picketed. Picketed means they were they were actually ransacked and picketed, okay, by the Indians. Okay. Foreign goods burnt in huge bonfires. So the huge bonfires were created all across India, and these foreign goods were kind of burnt in huge numbers. Again, liquors is also something that was coming from foreign, that is British shores. So this was also destroyed. So all this went on for some time, but now the challenges started appearing. Okay. So see, the first thing that was there was boycotting foreign goods. Means all these things that Indian people were wearing were mostly manufactured in Great Britain. Okay. And those were manufactured in mass numbers. So obviously when you manufacture something in mass numbers, the cost is a little lower. Okay. But khadi, which was an immediate replacement of foreign goods, was not manufactured in those mass numbers, and it had a very high price as compared to so khadi was far more expensive than milk cloth. Okay. Milk cloth was far more less expensive than khadi, and poor people didn't have the ability to pay for khadi. So what happened is this non-cooperation movement gained momentum at the start, but because there is no scope for poor people to afford khadi, they had no other option but to return back to their original milk cloth preference. Okay. They had to kind of adopt back to it, because khadi was so expensive that it could not be afforded by poor people. It's only the rich people who could afford it. So they could not hold themselves back from boycotting milk cloth for a long time. They had to return back to their roots. Okay. So that was one thing. We didn't have mills which were owned by Indians to kind of create to kind of fill in the gap that has been created. Okay. Now again, as you see that a lot of students and teachers and headmasters had actually left the schools as per the non-cooperation movement, but there were no national institutes in which education was provided. There was no curriculum which was based by Indians and run by Indians. So there was no alternative to education as well, because of which there was no way in which the education needs could be fulfilled, and so the students also were left without any kind of options. So students, teachers again started trickling back to schools, and lawyers also started going back to their courts because they had to run a family. Okay. So yes, if you see in towns and cities, non-cooperation movement was far more successful than in countryside or plantation sites. But in towns and cities, since there were no alternatives for clothes, or there was no alternative for essential commodities which were mostly controlled by the British industries, so people had no other options but to go back to their original lifestyle. And again, since education institutes were not created in huge numbers in India itself, again people had no other option but to go back and trace back their steps. So if you see that the momentum was fine at the start, but gradually it started dying out. Okay. So in all spheres it actually started dying out. Okay. So this is how the thing appeared in. So you can take a snapshot of the same. Okay, so now we will come to the concluding part of non-cooperation movement, and what incident basically triggered Gandhi to kind of withdraw the non-cooperation movement. Okay, so we have seen the reasons why Rowlatt Act protest was withdrawn, and now we will see the reasons why non-cooperation movement was withdrawn. So when was the non-cooperation movement withdrawn? It was withdrawn in Feb 1922. Okay. And what were the reasons that triggered? So withdrawal of non-cooperation movement and its causes. The immediate reason was obviously Gandhi could see that there is a vacuum that is being created. Obviously, you know, there is a huge loss that is happening to all merchants, and poor people cannot afford to buy expensive khadi clothes. Educational institutions have not been set up which could cater to the students and teachers who had left the government jobs to find their institutions. And so what has happened is that yes, people participated with the most of their energy and vigor and vitality, but in due course of time the movement started falling apart because the backup was not created to support the movement. Okay, so what has happened here is, yes, non-cooperation meant that we will not cooperate with the Britishers, but the immediate replacements were not held in place. Okay, so schools and colleges which were run by the government were not replaced by Indian institutions. Similarly, you know, we have khadi which was very expensive, so if we have to abandon milk cloth that was produced in mass numbers and it was at a cheaper rate, we don't have a replacement for it. Okay, so by and large this which was falling apart, and this incident basically became the primary cause for Gandhi withdrawing the non-cooperation movement. So what happened is that there is a place in UP, Uttar Pradesh, and the name of the place is Chauri Chaura. Okay, now as we can see that during the entire non-cooperation movement, there were very violent incidents or protests. Okay, wherein people in groups have picketed liquor shops, have burnt down godowns of foreign goods. So what happened in Chauri Chaura, there was a liquor shop, and as usual a group of people under non-cooperation movement, they picketed the shop. So what police did was they came up immediately and they started beating them up brutally. So they were brutally beaten up by the police. Okay, so what happened is this kind of spread like a fire. So what happened is, then these policemen, when they were in the police station, the door was bolted from outside and this entire police station was set on fire. Okay, 22 policemen were burnt to death. Okay, and that was a major thing that happened because these policemen were mostly Indians. Okay, so Gandhi said that we are fighting against the Britishers, but eventually it's the Indians causing loss to Indians. So that's this is what shocked Gandhi, because as per Satyagraha the motion has to be non-violent. So Satyagraha rules say, or Satyagraha philosophy is that the motion has to be non-violent, and we have to take it in such a way that the oppressor will feel instinctively from inside and leave the oppressing attitude. But here, instead of the oppressor being at a loss, it's the Indians who are at a loss, okay, because they are not having immediate replacements to the things that they were purchasing from the Britishers, and a kind of vacuum was created which was pretty difficult to deal with. And secondly, this incident wherein Indians have killed Indians, okay, so that was a violent incident that was not called for, okay. So there was in Satyagraha philosophy or Gandhi's philosophy, non-violence is the primary thing, and this is an example of prime violence, because Indians killing Indians, whereas the main culprits are the Britishers. So Gandhi said that we are going in the wrong direction, so let's withdraw this movement. So non-cooperation movement was called off in February 1922, and the main incident that triggered the calling off was the Chauri Chaura incident that happened, okay. So you can take a snapshot of the same.